In this video, all students will be able to graph an exponential equation with a base between 0 and 1. So for this video, we're actually only going to do one problem. That's it, just one problem. I'm going to take my time, and then you're going to copy it down as we go, pause, write down any questions you have, but we're only going to do one problem together. So A says graph the equation y equals 1/2 to the x power. We're going to start by making a table of values. So x is the exponent that we're going to put on, and y is the output. We're going to pick our normal values. Don't have enough room really for myself here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do the easiest ones, okay? The easiest one for me is the 0 power. So what is 1/2 to the 0 power? Well, anything to the 0 power is 1. We know that, so that's going to be 1. 1/2 to the 1 power, be that one. That one's the next easiest one. 1/2 to the 1 power is just going to be equal to the base. So that's going to be 1/2. Okay? I have to keep erasing my work because I don't have a lot of room, but you have more room on your paper. Okay, so now let's do 2. Let's do 2 next. So we're going to do 1/2 to the second power. So what does the second power mean? It means 1/2 times 1/2. Okay, so when you multiply fractions across the top, 1 times 1 is 1. Across the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so now we're going to do y equals, we're going to plug in the 3, 1/2 to the third power. Okay, so that means 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. We're going to multiply across the top. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And across the bottom, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So across from the 3, we'll get 1/8. All right, so now we're going to do the negative exponents. The negative exponents. So I need to do y equals, and I'm going to do 1/2 to the negative third. Okay, well, you know that that is actually the same as writing 1/1/2 to the positive third. You can write negative exponents as positives in the numerator. I am going to advocate that we take one slight shortcut. You'll notice that right here I have 1/2 to the third power. Well, I actually know what that is. We just did it right here, 1/2 to the third power. So we're actually going to use that answer. So that's going to be 1/8 on the bottom there. 1/1/8. Okay, just to be clear, what I already knew what this was. 1/2 to the third power. It's 1/8. I already knew that because I have it over here. So I just want to make sure you know why I kind of skipped over doing it on the screen. Okay, so 1/1/8. This is where you might get a little bit confused, or you may have forgotten. Dividing by a fraction. Dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's really 1 times, and now the reciprocal of this is 8/1. Well, 1 times 8/1. That's 1 times 8, basically, which is 8. All of that, and we got an 8. Same process, but this time the exponent is the -2. -2. So that's 1/1/2 to the positive 2. Just a reminder, I know what that is. That's 1/4. So I'm going to put it 1/1/4. Well, dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4/1. Well, that basically says what's 1 times 4, which is 4. We've got one more value to find. Take a moment and see if you can guess what the missing value is? Anyone have an idea? All right, so I'm going to rewrite that -1 as a positive in the denominator. And anything to the 1 power is itself, so I have 1 over 1/2. And dividing by a fraction is like multiplying by the reciprocal. So that basically says 1 times 2, which is 2. You'll notice because the base is 1/2, right, in the original equation, because the base is 1/2, every time you take a half of the one before. Okay, so that's what the base means. Let's go ahead and plot these points. This table now has a set of points. So it doesn't actually say, now plot those points, but part A says graph it, so that's what we're going to do. So the first point is -3, 8. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. There we go. -3, 8. Hopefully I can get this dot in the right spot. Dang it. Dang it. Right there. Okay, got it. -2, 4. Got it. -1, 2. 0, 1. 1, 1/2. Now I wish I could zoom in for us. So I'm going to go over to +1, but I'm only going to go up half of a box. All right, and then after that I have to go down to a 1/4. It's going to get closer and closer. So it's a curve, but oh darn it, my line is really not on it at all. Oh gosh. It's a curve. You'll do yours better on your paper. This thing is impossible to do on here. But it goes in that direction. Okay, so down here at the bottom of the page, again, pause the video if you need to pause the video. Anytime you need to pause the video. Now at the bottom of the page there are 2 questions. What is the y-intercept? Okay, well I know that the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and that was the point 0, 1. We have it right here. And the x-intercept, well, I see as this graph goes down that those fractions got smaller, but there actually is no x-intercept. It approaches the x-axis, but it never actually touches it. That fraction that's over here, the fraction just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, so anyways, for your homework, you're going to try number 2. Try number 2 to the best of your ability. Bring your work to class tomorrow, and we will begin by reviewing that work. Okay, your work is about doing everything that used to be right here, right? I want to really see you trying the exponents. I want to really see you graphing that equation. All right, thanks, honey bunnies.